Welcome, everyone, to Giftful, Taming the Comparison Trap with Bowbend Consulting. My name's Peyton Williams, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. Let's dive right in. So, there's some really helpful things about Giftful, the app, and I'm not sure who knows what about them, but this is a quick tutorial on some of the things that you might be able to use Giftful for. It's not all bad, and you and your team might really enjoy using this app. So, Giftful is a little bit like social media and gifts meeting up. And on the app, you make a profile and then you can create different lists of things that you would like. Imagine a wish list for a wedding or for a baby shower or for a birthday or for a holiday like Christmas, where gift giving is going on. But it's not just a personal wish list, it's also a public or shared wish list. You'll notice on the screen that you'll see your username, a photo of you, and then also you'll be able to see your lists and then claimed items. And so other people, if you share your profile with them, can see what you wish for and then claim those items without you knowing so that other people don't buy them for you. So, for example, let's say I had a wish list for my birthday and I wanted roller skates and a tree planted in my name for my favorite organization and eye makeup. Someone could claim the roller skates, and then other people wouldn't see those as an option of something to buy for me. And so that helps get rid of duplicate gifts and having to, share email lists and text messages with family members. So there are some really positive things about Giftful. Um, you can also easily paste online from online things that you want. So let's say as you're browsing, you find something that, oh, that would be really helpful. Or maybe you remember, gosh, we really need some new dish pans. You can find the link online and then just copy and paste it into your Giftful app, and it creates a gift for you. And you can decide add size, color, all that kind of stuff. So you can really personalize it. There's also a mobile app, which makes it really easy to use. So there are a bunch of positive things about Giftful. My husband and I both use it. We share it with each other so that I know, hey, what should I get you? I'm the worst gift giver ever. So I really appreciate Giftful because then I can make sure I get him something that he wants and him the same for me. Now, there are some pitfalls about Giftfuls, particularly when it comes to your children. Children are logging on to Giftful, and what's great about it is they're creating their own wish lists, things that they want, things that they need, and they're able to share that with you, a parent. They're also able to share it with friends. But one thing that they might not know is that they're also potentially sharing it with everyone. So, one safety issue that you need to consider as a parent when you're teaching your child how to use Giftful and other social media is to help them understand what is public and what is private. On Giftful, I believe that all accounts are set as public. So, I didn't know this until I logged on and was exploring, but turns out anybody could have found my account. That means they could have seen my full name, my picture, and all the things I wanted. This is not safe when it comes to having minors. And so, whenever you have a child who's a minor, you want to make sure you teach them don't put your full name with your picture online anywhere where it's public for somebody to see who might not know you. That's not safe. Um, so, you could practice searching up your child's name and see what pops up so that you can show them, hey, any random old person can see you. When it comes to Giftful, the other, and I think bigger issue is when it comes to our kids, they are already wired for comparison and they're already doing that. So let's dive a little bit in because this is something that as a parent, you're going to have to help your kid with anyway. But Giftful can exacerbate it because just like at school, they go into school and they see, oh, everybody's got on these clothes or these shoes, or everybody's wearing this watch, or everybody has this toy, or everybody's driving this car. That comparison is innate. That's part of their growing up, it's part of their development. And we do it as humans too. And then if they take that comparison home when they're not with those people in person, but it's now suddenly 24/7 available for them to compare and be dissatisfied, that becomes a mental rut that can really not be great for their mental health. Jonathan Haidt's recently written a book called The Anxious Generation. I'm listening to it right now. I'm not all the way done, but it's an amazing book that takes a look at the impact of social media, screen time on our teens, on our kids, and what are the things that we should be thinking about, particularly as parents, when we're setting limits for our kids to help keep them happy and healthy and developing in the right ways. So let's dive in a little bit. If you take a look at these pictures, you'll notice all of these groups are wearing very similar, I like to call them uniforms, right? There's clearly a way, a style of dressing, of making sure that you show that you're part of this in group. This is cultural, it's across the world, it's very normal, and it's great because it makes us feel great when we match other people. And your children are going to want to match other people, right? A new phenomenon for those of you who aren't up to date, like I wasn't, is the Taylor Swift bracelets, right? That's sort of a marker that's saying I am in this group and I belong. And that's what our kids all want. They all want to feel like they belong. And the reason they want that is it's actually based in neuroscience. They want to belong because back when the saber-toothed tigers were chasing us all around, it was safer for me to be in a group than not. If I were on my own and a tiger attacked me, chances were not good for me. But if I were in a group of 10 or 20 and I belonged and they would stick with me, my chances of survival were great. And so our brains evolved to know that being with others, being in the group, belonging means we're safe. And when we are not, when we are on the out group, it triggers us to feel unsafe and like we've got to get back into the group. And so this is what your children are doing when they say, but mom, but dad, everybody has this. It's what they're really saying is everybody belongs and I don't. And so, as parents, when we know this, we can address it. Hey, yes, I totally hear you. And that may seem really important. What are some other ways that you know you belong? Even if you never get the Forerunner car that everybody has, or even if you never get the Air Jordan shoes that everybody's wearing, how do you know you still belong? Because that's really what you're trying to get. I think when you start to think about, okay, my child is going to do this anyway, starting probably around age 10 and all the way until they leave your house, they're going to be doing that. But Giftful or any other social media online app can exacerbate it because suddenly it's top of mind all the time because they're looking at it. So, how do you help your child navigate this? Step one would be just to say, hey, until whatever age, you're not allowed to have Giftful. It's not helpful for you developmentally. You don't need to have that extra comparison pressure on you. We're just not going to do it. It's one fewer problem to manage. If you decide you do want to let your child have Giftful, then maybe perhaps you make it a private account. You don't let them share and you don't let them use it to browse. All they can use it for is to add something that they think of on their own. And this again can limit some of that comparison. A third option might be is to talk with your child limiting who they follow and who they allow to follow them to family members only. Sure, share your Giftful account with grandma, share it with me, share it with your brother, but don't share it with Susie down the street or the random stranger that happens to want to follow you. Another option, if you're ready for your child to, you think that they have the maturity to start to do this, is to let them include their close friends, right? But also maintain having conversations with them around things like pricing, things like comparison, things like greed, things like generosity. Use it to surprise friends with appropriate gifts. but make sure that you're not just giving it to them and then saying, go on off, because you wouldn't do that with a car. So don't let your child do that. Another thing that when you think about safety, you're going to want to do is help your kid make it private. Do they want to have their picture or an avatar? Probably an avatar if they're a minor. Do they want to have their full name? No. You want to have it be maybe first name and last initial, or first initial and last name. And then probably you're going to want to make this account private and think about talking to your kids about who they're following as well. When you think about who they're following, you can see who they're following. And so you can have conversations with them about, why are you following this person? Is that a helpful thing for you? Is it good for your mental health? How do you feel after you look at other people's giftful accounts? And those kinds of questions can be really helpful for your child to work through and talk through with you. All our kids, when they are saying, give me, give me, give me, I want, I want, I want. Yes, they have fallen into some consumerism. They've fallen into some materialism. And that's a moment for you as a parent to kind of smile and teach them a little bit. But also, it's a moment for you to say, hey, what do I need to do to help my child navigate these waters, which they are going to be surrounded by? And so, one is you want to think about what's the appropriate age for your child to have social media of any kind, whether it's giftful or anything else. A lot of research is showing that you want to wait as long as possible. And 14 is usually a pretty good age to start. But that anything younger than that really kind of has diminishing returns for your kids' mental health. Another question you're going to want to ask yourself before you allow your child to jump on these social media apps like Giftful is, when my child is going to be using this social media, how is he or she going to be monitored? When am I going to look? When am I going to peek over their shoulder? How am I going to know if this is having a positive or negative impact on them? And again, just like you wouldn't throw the keys to your car to your 10-year-old and say, go ahead, have fun. No, you give them training, you give them baby steps, you talk to them, you sit in the car with them for a whole year before they're even allowed to leave the driveway on their own. The same thing should be going on with social media, with you as a monitor, as someone to help your child navigate these waters. And the last question you may want to ask is, what are your limits and your child's limits? And how can you communicate with them about those limits, right? How much money should they be asking for on Giftful when it comes to a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a pair of shoes or whatever it is they're asking? When they ask for something that's a ton of money, that's a teaching moment for you. And how can you help them start to realize, man, I really don't need to have a list that's 100 things long. Let me really curate this to think about what I really want, as opposed to just what everybody else is asking for. So when you're a parent and you're diving into this and you're having conversations with your kids, I encourage you not to be judgmental. Start with curiosity. Hey, when you're looking at this, how do you feel? What's coming up for you when you're scrolling through your friend's gift? Or, you know, what does it feel like when you feel greedy or jealous? How do you know that you're being that? How do I know I'm being that way? Are the things that you're like, tell me about some of these items on your list. How did you come to choose that? Is it what someone else wanted, or is it something that you wanted? How are you finding the things that you're putting on your list? And what is that saying about the state of your heart? And how is that impacting you? Things like, how can we use this as a way to really spread goodness as a family? Could we go look on somebody's list and surprise them when they've had a hard day? Absolutely. Right. But so I think there's some absolute wonderful things that you can do to really help um, your child with this. Finally, we've got Monthly social media check-ins is a great idea for parents. Just put it on your calendar. You're going to take your child's phone or whatever iPad, and you're going to scroll through and just take a look at their social media accounts. And you're going to ask them, who are you following? Why are you following? How is that impacting you? Is this for good? And again, it's not judgmental. It's like, who are you following? Right? It's more just curiosity. Tell me about this. Why do you like following this person? How are they impacting you? What kind of impact do you think they're having? Is it a good one? Do you think you should keep following? And then definitely make some time to have a safety lesson once every 6 months with your kid, because it's not a one and done conversation. It's a time you've got to keep coming back and reminding them, hey, you signed up for that new app. How's the privacy on that? Are you feeling comfortable? What kind of things are you doing? So, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here today. And if you have questions, feel free to uh, email me or text me or send me a message on social media. EPD Williams, if you want to have some parenting tips every day, and then Bowbend Consulting for more details on workshops. If you've got any feedback for me about this workshop, I'd love to have your thoughts. If you scan the QR code up here in the corner, it'll take you to a feedback form where you can leave me some tips. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being here.